Customizing your character is integral to making the gaming experience feel more personalized and tailored to your specific playing. But in an online setting, it can also be used as a means of expression, the same way as in real life. So why is the title of the video not customizing your character? I was originally going to call the video customizing your character because customization as a word is far more broad than just dressing up or video game fashion. But ironically, despite that, the phrase customize your character has sort of been interpreted as customizing the characteristics and only the characteristics, like the ears or the nose or the mouth or the dick. A quick Google or YouTube search will prove this is the case for our modern society. And that would be a problem for the title, because although that idea will be explored, the main meat of this video and discussion is about dressing up your character, changing their clothes, and less so just their physical or facial attributes. Anyway, there's a lot to unpack here, so for the sake of organization, I'll separate the video into different parts or chapters. Alright, let's start at the beginning and with the most rudimentary form of visual character customization, which is picking between two or more pre-made characters. It sounds simple, maybe you wouldn't even consider it a form of customization at all, but to me, it feels very personalized. In the Pokemon games, you're given a simple choice, boy or girl. It might even come across to you as not even a form of customization or dressing up your character the way you choose to at all, but it really is. The difference between having it and not having it is that it makes you feel as though you've made an impact on the game by inserting even just a single characteristic about yourself, or even just how you'd like the game to be. And you have made an impact, be it as small as changing your gender between the two options. If there's only one preset model, then you're playing the game as the story of another character. But as soon as you're allowed to pick between even two options, it suddenly becomes your story. It really is special how such a small change can impact your perception of the protagonist of single-player games or yourself in online games. Neo Tokyo has 3 separate classes, but each class has 3 separate models you can choose between, and you make it your own. Astroneer has different models to choose when playing alone or with friends, and when you play with friends, both you and them start to associate those models with the person that consistently uses them. There are tons of examples like this. But okay, all these games have the characters be a blank slate in terms of personality intentionally so that you can make it your own character, or associate it with your own personality. But what about games where you pick between characters that already have their own pre-built personalities? Left 4 Dead 2. You aren't becoming the character, sure, but you still are choosing it out of the rest, signifying you either think it matches you the most or you just simply prefer it the most, as is usually the case. I choose Coach in Left 4 Dead 2. Why? Because he's fucking funny, that's why. He's the fat black guy who talks about food all the time, and I love it.
Also the food court. I am starving.
If I was forced to be Coach, it wouldn't take away from his character, but it'd take away from the specialty of me picking him. We've all played Super Mario Bros, be it one version or another, and if you've played the more recent ones, you'd know they let you choose between 4 different options. Usually either Mario, Luigi, Todd, or Toadette, or Mario, Luigi, Blue Todd, or Yellow Todd. Although they already have some kind of personality, you really become attached to whatever character you end up choosing most of the time. And first, let me just say that Yellow Toad is better than Blue Toad, easy. I know they chose blue because yellow is too similar to green with color theory and all that fucking bullshit with it standing out from the background, but I don't care, alright? Yellow is better than Blue Toad. Anyway, so as I was saying, you really do become attached to your character, as you can probably tell. So I'm about to talk about clothing next, but something that kind of blurs the line is skins and colors. I don't mean skins like Minecraft or CSGO skins, that's for later. I mean skins like League of Legends or Paladins. I get their purpose. Without them, you have those fucking comedians that mix cosmetics from different sets to make them look intentionally shit. But you know what? That's still a type of personalization. In a lot of modern games, often the changes are literally just color changes with a $10 price tag. Clothing in the real and electronic world is the definitive way to express yourself to others. Even if you're doing an intentionally ugly or gaudy loadout, that's expression too. Whether it's meant to be humorous or ironic or meant to express your thoughts on something or is really just meant to look cool. Expression is only a small part of it though. If it was all about expression, then single player games would have no need for dressing up your character, but it isn't. It's about personalization, and also to a lot of people, dressing up your own character is fun. Making your character dress like yourself, or whatever the fuck normals look at, it's all fun. Creating loadouts and outfits is enjoyable, and when games give you the flexibility to create your own style, it adds a lot to the type of people that enjoy those sorts of things. Usually females, by the way. There are games where the whole gameplay is centered around dressing up characters, but taking it to a whole new level is showing off those loadouts or using them in games you play. It's come to the point where lots of people have specific virtual looks that they try and recreate in the games they play. In almost every game my girlfriend plays that has customization, she gives herself an eye patch, the story being that she's a cat with one eye. This kind of idea is so modern that I literally haven't seen anyone else talk about it in all my research, aside from maybe a few forum posts. Digital style exists, and I would genuinely call it a form of modern fashion, expression, and even art. Now here's some problems with dressing up your character in video games. Armor and immersion. Armor sounds really fucking specific, but I'm actually serious. You can't look the way you want in games that have wearable items, with things like armor bonuses, enchantments, or stat changes, etc. Terraria has a really smart and unique fix to this. You have a spot for armor and a spot for vanity, same for accessories. It really does want to make sure that you as the player have full customizability over the character, and not limiting you with the physical characteristics you as a player want on your character. Now, although I said this is a really smart and unique fix, and it is, that doesn't mean I think most games should follow with that idea, for two reasons. The first is a pretty obvious one and is only for online PvP scenarios: readability. If you can't tell if an enemy has armor or not, that'll really mess with how you approach enemies. The second reason that can apply to both online and offline games: immersion. Terraria only gets a pass because it's a world that is just so fantastical that me wearing a TV head costume with shroomite armor underneath is like, yeah, whatever, it's just Terraria, man. You can't apply that logic to other games because it'd break the consistency. Something my girlfriend does in Skyrim is wear normal clothing. She likes the way it looks. Dressing that way while getting the armor bonuses and enchantments is pretty immersion breaking to me. I know some people don't mind and can get mods that have a Terraria-like setup, but her and I agree, we can't do that. There is more to be said on immersion. This is just why Terraria-like setups don't work in many games. I'll leave the answer to the bigger immersion problem up to you. Do you think it's fair to break the immersion of games specifically with unfitting clothing in the name of customization? I'll absolutely read every comment that shares an opinion because this one's a tough one. Color is a pretty easy way to make your character feel more like your own. And I don't just mean changing the color of your whole character, although that still does count. I also mean changing the color of different attributes or articles of clothing individually. Creating color palettes for clothing is pretty interesting and can involve light pastel colors and dark gritty ones. It's all pretty cool. Now, you may not consider this a part of digital style or dressing up your character, but weapon skins are undoubtedly a big customization option, especially in games like CSGO where you can really only customize your weapon skins. They come in all sorts of games and have been critiqued for breaking art styles, and yeah, I get that, but I genuinely think it's a fair trade-off for customization. This is a more controversial one, so please let me know your thoughts. Alright, so something else to talk about is the difference between creating a character with clothing and games where you have to find the clothing yourself. It can actually be a problem for newer players to express themselves in a lot of games, especially TF2, where if they aren't told, they're led to believe all cosmetics have an $8 price tag. This is the catalyst for the Gibbous Pyrovision player number 1,000,007, but it's also part of the enjoyment in creating a set, the same enjoyment people get from shopping instead of just trying on clothes. You feel like you've earned that article of clothing by paying for it with in-game currency. There are pros and cons to giving every player full customizability at the start of a game when creating your character off the bat. Speaking of character creation, time to talk about that. This often has to do with making it look like you or your favorite fictional character or celebrity with designing facial and body characteristics. They're pretty cool, usually found in RPG games and the like. Sometimes having minor gameplay changes like making yourself thinner makes you more agile but less strong, etc. To be honest, a lot of these games feel kind of overwhelming with their facial attributes. Weird comparison here, but it's like if you're told to pick one ice cream flavor out of 5, which seems easy, but now pick 1 out of 20. You may be more accurate, and I'm sure the people more into this sort of thing will absolutely appreciate the variety, but it just isn't for me. I get overwhelmed. What is for me is when games couldn't give a shit if you make your character even look like a human, or even like their proportions would fit within the laws of physics or nature. It's kind of ironic and hypocritical because earlier I was talking about games breaking immersion with unfitting clothing, but the difference is that whereas the clothing thing comes up when you're actually playing the game, breaking the immersion, making your character look like some Lovecraftian horror for a laugh or two, then fixing it doesn't do anything to the immersion. And if you are one of those people that don't give a shit about immersion and just want to laugh, then you can choose to play the whole game that way. All in all, character customizers at the beginning of games are fun and definitely, without a question, make the game feel more personalized. I mean, that's literally their whole purpose, and if you ask me, they get an A+ and a gold sticker. So here we are at the end. We've almost talked about it all, but it's finally time to talk about the culmination of everything we've discussed. Free customization is rare. It's at the peak of creativity and human expression. Far, far more than real-life fashion or clothing. There are limits to that, social stigmas as well. On the online world, with the addition of free customization, you can make yourself anything. Games like this include Minecraft, Gary's Mod, VR Chat, Roblox, and other such games. Games that let you create and become your own skins, shirts, and even models are things you can never and will never be able to do in the real world, or even do in previous instances of online interaction. You can be as cringy, as stupid, as offensive, or even as normal as you'd like. This is new, and it's special, and it's only the beginning of what I believe to be a modern shift in the concept of fashion as a whole. There are some that theorize that with the gates of limitations of reality being torn down, cultural fashion tastes have no reason to adhere to them. I recall rewatching Adventure Time in its entirety recently, maybe last year, and I recall a specific scene where Finn discovers the island of humans. They're inside virtual reality, and what struck me as interesting was the prediction of how their culture dressed. It's a common trope that in the far future in VR, or even just in an online setting, fashion and culture will shift towards a weird postmodern aesthetic. But when I look back on past eras and cultures and see how different they are to the current, it's hard not to believe that with time and zero limitations, our culture won't adapt to a new virtual style, be it VR or not. Well, that about wraps things up. We've now discussed the past, future, and present in digital style and video game hats. If you have any other thoughts, or especially if you have any examples of games that use customization really well, as I sure as heck wasn't able to talk about them all, then please go ahead and let me know. Some I can think of are Super Animal Royale, because it's really interesting that you can pick your own animal, style your animal, and then add clothing on top of that. CSGO has weapon skins with stickers for extra customization. Now it's your turn, let me know some games that you play. I try and read every comment, even if I don't respond to all of them, so if you leave a comment, chances are I'll see it. Anyway, I'm gonna go to loadout.tf to try on some shitty summer cosmetics. Oh yeah, this one looks good. Oh, but this one, hey, wouldn't it be funny if this random item was a hat?
It's really nice. It's simple. It's got the right colors, you know?